What's going on, everybody? Good Tuesday morning. Hope you had a decent extended weekend. And I think it's time. I think it's time we do something else that is way too early, but not quite as way too early as what I did yesterday. Yesterday, I was looking at a mock draft that isn't going to bear any fruit for another, what are we, 11 months? We haven't even seen the players that I was talking about in the video yesterday play their final college seasons. So yeah, it's a little you're reaching out a little too far if you're trying to do a mock draft 10, 11 months in advance. I admit that. So let's do another thing that is also way too early, but somehow less way too early, and that is a schedule prediction for 2022. So I've talked about the schedule before. If you go back and watch my stream that I did with the Hawks Nest after the schedule came out, I think actually the day the schedule came out, my thoughts really haven't changed that much. But thought I'd go ahead and throw together a video and we can talk about one or two things that I feel like maybe have changed, some things that are worth reconsidering. But for the most part, I still feel the same way about this team that I did a couple weeks ago when this schedule came out. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Let's go through each game, and I'm going to give a win or a loss. Now, we've got way too much stuff that we need to see before we can accurately guess this stuff. We need to see training camps. We need to see practices. We need to see who gets hurt on our team and other teams. We need to see preseason. All these things are going to matter. But that's why they call it a way too early schedule prediction. So I'm going to just take my shot now, and I'll do another one right before the season starts and see if anything has changed. But this is going to be my, today's the last day of the month, so May schedule prediction for the Seahawks. So this is going to be the first one, and then maybe right after the last preseason game, I'll do a secondary one. See if anything changes. I'll say this. I think there are a lot of different ways this season can go, but I do think there's a relatively low ceiling on what this team is going to be able to do. So I'm not expecting anything great this year. I'm not going to hold them to that standard the way I have in previous years because it's not reasonable. And I'm going to be looking for young pieces to show what they can do. All right, with that being said, let's go through the schedule. Week 1, Monday Night Football against the Broncos. I mean, I want it. I want it bad, of course. I know how people are feeling about this game before it starts. I know how people have that game circled. I want it badly, believe me, but I don't see it. I see a loss. I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a close game. I think we might even hold the Denver offense to 20 to 24 points. I just don't see how our offense is going to be able to score. If our offense is going to be good at any point this season, I don't think it's going to be week 1. I think it's going to be way down the line when we've had the opportunity to get some experience for some of these young players. Okay, so we're starting 0-1. Week 2 at San Francisco. This is another loss. It's not the road disadvantage thing so much. It's a relatively small trip, but I don't know. I still think Trey Lance is going to be good, and I'm assuming he's going to be starting. Might be a little too early to say that, but just in general, it seems to me that 49ers team is going to have a good year this year. And I'm just not feeling it. Again, I think our defense is going to do some good stuff, but how do we score? Maybe we'll be able to score late in the year, but I don't think we're going to be able to score early in the year. And against a team like the 49ers, who are going to have a good defense, I just don't see how it results in a win. So I have us starting 0-2. That takes us to week 3 against the Falcons. I got a win. I say we get our first win against Atlanta. Atlanta has a chance to be really bad this year. I don't know who their quarterback's going to be at this point. Could they put Desmond Ridder out there? Could it be Marcus Mariota? I don't know. It could go either way for me at this point. But they've got no receivers outside of Drake London, who I do like. But that's a team with a lot of problems. That's a team that desperately needed to flush, and they did. So I think we get the win against Atlanta. They honestly, at this point, it's hard for me to even say what they do well. And I know you could kind of say that about the Seahawks, but we are playing at home. It is a long trip for Atlanta. I think we should be able to get it done in that game. Week 4, we're going to Detroit. Detroit, I don't know if this is the year they start to put things together a little bit or not, but I'm going to say we go get this win. It's going to be in a dome, which I like, even though it's on the road. I just think that Detroit, even though they're probably going to be better than they were last year because they had all those injuries, and I like the rebuild process they're going through. It should eventually produce good results, but I think we roll into Detroit and get the win. So I got us at 2-2, and that would be a pretty decent first 4 games. Now, I can't say first month because technically Detroit's in October, but there you go. Okay, week 5, we are going to New Orleans. I have no idea what the Saints are going to be this year. That could go many different ways. But I am going to say that on the road in a hostile environment, on a team that should at least be decent, this could be another like kind of game when we played the Saints last year, 13-10 Saints. So I'm going to go with something like that. Low scoring, defense plays good, defense forces some turnovers, they show some signs, but we can't score, and we drop to 2-3. Week 6, home against the Cardinals. I'm going to say no DeAndre Hopkins because he's going to be suspended. Kyler Murray's going to be there, which might actually be good for us because Colt McCoy's a long-term backup in Arizona now. And I'm going to say this is one of the ones we get. I'm going to say we get Arizona. Arizona, there's some bad mojo coming out of that locker room right now. Bad mojo from that franchise. I'm going to say we get the Cardinals in week 6 to move to 3-3. All right, so next up, week 7, we have the Chargers on the road. I love the way the Chargers are managing this offseason. I love the way the Chargers are trying to so aggressively go after building this team around Herbert in the final year of his rookie deal lock. So if you look at what they're doing this offseason, it's all about we need to win now. The future is whatever at this point, right? Because Herbert's going to demand big money next year in all likelihood, and we're going to give it to him because he deserves it. So let's go all in. I like the way they're doing it. I like the direction of that team, and I don't see much of anything that we're going to be able to do against them. Maybe we're going to be able to run the ball a little bit. They didn't do a ton to address their leaky run defense, but I say it's not enough. I say San Diego gets us. All right, week 8, we host the New York Giants. Giants, they may be a bottom 3 team in the league this year again. They pretty much were last year. They farmed a couple wins early, and then the second half of the year they were basically unwatchable. Maybe the most unwatchable team in the league by December. So I don't see any reason to believe that's changed. They had no money. They got some nice rookies. They had a pretty decent draft. But I don't see anything with that Giants team that is telling me that they're going to make a big improvement this year. They couldn't really bring in free agents because, like I said, no money. They've lost pieces, if anything, from a team that was 4 wins last year. And I think that even though we arguably will not be that radically far away from where a team like the Giants is, in terms of final record, I do think we can get the win at home, take care of business, move on. All right, 4-4. We're going into week 9 at Arizona, and I think this is the game that Arizona gets us. D-Hop's going to be back. Murray, I mean, look, I don't know what to say about Kyler Murray at this point. I know, obviously, as seasons go on, he'll he tends to fall off a little bit. There's been that whole meme about how, if you get to a certain point in the season, Kyler starts to fall off. I mean, look, by this point in the season, he might be injured, right? Because that's been an issue for him. But I don't know if that's good for us, right? There's something in the water with Colt McCoy, and that's all I can say about that. It's going to be on the road. I think Arizona gets us, so we split the season series with them, and we fall to, 4-5? And then we are going to Germany to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, November 13th. Going to be a weird game, I'm sure. The Germany thing is going to throw an interesting wrinkle, but look, at the end of the day, it's hard to run on that Tampa Bay team. And if there's any coaching staff in the league that will beat their head into a wall trying to run the ball against Vita Vea and those guys, it's this one. And look, I think our defense is going to be decent this year. I think we're going to surprise some people on defense, but that Tampa Bay juggernaut should be able to do what they need to do to get a win against what should be a fairly toothless offense. So that's a loss. I'm saying 4-6 going into the bye week. So the bye week's nice. It's somewhat late in the season. It's after a couple of games that I think are going to be rough. It's after the Germany game, which is kind of mandatory, but it's good, right? You want to have that next week off. Good time for a bye week because at this point, like in my prediction, we will be 4-6. And we're going to need to make a serious push if we want any chance of making anything good out of 2022. And for that reason, for a couple other reasons as well, I'm going to say week 12 coming out of that game against, coming out of that bye against the Raiders, I'm going to say we get one. I'm going to say the Raiders are not going to be as good as people think. I'm going to say that the Raiders, they're going to be decent, right? They might be like they were last year where they were slightly above average. But I don't think they're going to be as good as some people think. I think the bye week is going to help. I think being at home will help. And I'm going to say this is one of the ones we snatch. Upset, if you will. I'm going to say this is one of our upsets. Coming off 2 losses in a bye week, let's get it. I feel it. And then that takes us to week 13 against the Rams in LA. I mean, do I even really have to say it? I mean, it's not fun down there for us, generally speaking, and I don't know why that would change. I will say this for Pete and his defense. The last several times we have played the Rams, the defense has actually played mostly pretty good. You had that one game last year where they gave up 450 yards, but even in that game, the defense didn't play terrible. The defense kept them in the game until the end. The offense had more to do with that game. And honestly, if you look at this last several games we have played against the Rams that we've lost, I think the offense has been a much bigger problem than the defense, specifically Wilson. Wilson has not played well against the Rams at all. I think that's had to contribute to why you move on from him in a way. So maybe you can look at that and go, well, Wilson's not here anymore, but I don't know if Drew Lock is going to be able to improve on that. Now, I'll give Gino his credit because when he played the Rams last year, he did good. He came in and did everything he could to try to win a game, and he did his thing. But I just don't see any reason why that would improve this year with the quarterbacks that we're going to have. Okay, week 14 against Carolina. Really hard to know what Carolina is going to be. They've got a very, very weak platoon at quarterback. It rivals the Seahawks in terms of likely ineptitude with Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. I don't know who's going to be starting by this point, but the game is after Halloween. So you know Sam Darnold is going to see those ghosts, and you're probably not going to even be able to get him on the field. So maybe it'll be Matt Corral. Their defense should be pretty good. It was pretty good the last year or two. But at the end of the day, they couldn't really improve that much during the draft because they had traded some of their picks away. So I'm going to say that we get the win. I'm not 100% sure on it. It is at home. Carolina's got a tall task of flying across the country. I'm going to say we get that win. Excuse me. Week 15, hosting the 49ers. Unfortunately, I mean, at this point, we're going to be basically playing for our lives, right? We're going to be 5-7, right? No, 6-7. So we're going to be looking at a scenario where we kind of need to go 3-1, and we know we have that game in Kansas City coming up. So this is going to be a must-win game at home on Thursday Night Football. So there's going to be some things in our favor, but I think the 49ers may be rolling by this point in the season, kind of like they were last year. If they come out of the gate slow because of Trey Lance or just because of a general lack of initial cohesion, then I think by the time you get to this Week 15 game, they might be rolling and they might be able to trump all that just with their superior ability. So, unfortunately, I have to acknowledge the fact that I think we will probably get swept by both of our main division rivals in 2022. And we'll get to that in a second here. But yeah. Week 16, we're going to Kansas City. I mean, look, I think this defense might be able to do a little better than some people expect against that offense. They lost Tyreek Hill, which is a big deal. I think that you might see the defense show up and play pretty well in this game, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I mean, they might play well and still give up 30 points because it's Kansas City in Kansas City. It's been almost 25 years since we've won a game in Kansas City, and that's been when we've been good. We've had playoff caliber teams, Super Bowl caliber teams, and still couldn't get it done. We had a few opportunities, and it's not a fun place to play. So that's another loss, and at that point, your season's probably basically over. You've locked up a losing record, so the best you can do is, 8-9 at that point. So at that point, there's not going to be a whole lot of win left in your sails, but there are still going to be 2 games left to play. The Jets, I'm not sure about this one, right? Because the Jets, I really like what they're doing with their rebuild, but I don't know if it's going to sink in yet. I like Zach Wilson. I like their draft. I like the stuff that they're doing to try to get to the point where they can be great again. But I just don't know if it's going to kick in this year or next year. This is going to be by the end of the year, too. So they're probably going to start coming together. But the Jets are flying across the country. I feel like we got enough to win this game. The Jets are probably also going to be out of it at this point, by the way, too. In that division, they're probably not going to be hanging around to any playoff spot. So it's going to be a battle of 2 teams that don't have a ton to play for in the playoff seedings. So I'm going to say we get the win and get our 7th win. And then we play the Rams in week 18. We don't know what day, but we do know we're playing the Rams. The Rams will almost certainly have something to play for. We almost certainly won't. And it's the Rams. So I'm going to say we take another L here to move to our final record of 7-10. Which, I don't really want to talk in these terms. It's kind of the worst case scenario for me. If we're going to be bad, I'd rather be 4-win bad than 7-win bad. But at the same time, if we win a few more games than expected because we have, a really good defense powered by guys like Taylor and Mafe and Jamal and Kobe and guys who are clearly part of the future for this organization, then maybe that's worth winning a few extra games to get that slightly lower draft pick. But I don't know. 7 wins is not the circle of purgatory I want to be in, but it depends on how we get there. But that's my record prediction, 7-10. Let me know what you guys think. Are you different? Do you feel differently about any of these games? I'm going to get out of here. Peace out, go Hawks, and have a good day.